Hello and welcome to the Football Terrace. This is the Arsenal show. My name's Adam Charles, and it's been such a long time since I did this that I can't even remember what we were talking about last time. I'm sure we're suffering some problems. Some people were talking about Arteta out. Some people were talking about how Arsenal in a relegation battle. Some people were talking about how Arsenal are a banter club and that we're in the mud and that we're never going to be back and that we should accept the fact that we're a mid-table team. And you fast forward a month or so and it looks like Arsenal are in the exact same position as they were. Because here we are. Arsenal have got off-field, maybe I won't say issues. We've got off-field things that are happening, like Willie Saliba. We've got things that are happening on the pitch where Arsenal don't seem to be performing, and we're losing to teams that we really should be beating. It's tough. It is very, very tough. So, yeah, it looks as though things are the same, but we're going to get into all of those things later on in the show. I've got a nice little panel. You know who they are already. You know who they are. It's Igal. It's Sam. How are you both doing?
I'm chilling, bro.
Good. Love that. Also, Kesh should be coming. Haven't heard anything from him to say anything to the contrary. We've also got Tom Canton. I shouldn't really put his government out there like that. I'm really sorry. We've got Tom. We've got Tom.
We've got Tommy boy. That's it.
Doing the talks, so forget that. Forget it. Scratch it. But yeah, let's talk about Thomas Partey. That's where I kind of want to start off. And the reason I want to talk about him is because I've been answering questions recently from different fans who are telling me that Thomas Partey is a flop, and I thought. Little bit harsh, little bit difficult. But they're saying it because he's been injured all the time. He hasn't really seemed to affect the games that he's been in. And I just want to know, am I being too much of a fan? Or do I actually need to start looking at questioning, criticizing Thomas Partey's performances?
I'll go first. You know what? Yeah, Simeone. Yeah, you put the judge on him because we pissed him off when we got Partey. And it's like, I'm going to injure this player because he's never been injured at his time at Atletico. Like, the longest he's been injured was for a week. And now he's been injured for over a month now at Arsenal. So, Simeone, I see what you're doing there. I hope Atletico Madrid get relegated. That's what I want to do.
What? They're going to win the league. What are you talking about, Sam?
I'm joking, but honestly, Partey, his expectations are so high that he's playing to the level of like Granit Xhaka. Because we expect so much from him, like it should be. He's one of the best midfielders, I'll say, in his role in the league. But as of right now, this guy is injury ridden.
I need to know from the people in the chat, guys. Tell me, what do you guys think? Because I personally think it's ridiculous to call Thomas Partey a flop. You can say he's underperforming based on the fact that he hasn't played enough games. But even that, you can't say he's underperforming because he hasn't played enough minutes to be considered underperforming. What do you expect from him as a midfielder? You expect him to come into a game and change the games. And the games that he has played in, i.e. the game against Wolves, he performed well. Last game, he didn't perform so well. The game against Tottenham, he got injured. But at the end of the day, I want to know from you guys in the comment section. I want to know from everybody here. I generally think it's ridiculous to say Thomas Partey's been a flop. If you want to say, oh, Pepe's been a flop, he's a goal scorer. You have to get goals from him. You have to get creativity from him. You have to ask him to do something in the final third. What is Thomas Partey's job? He's supposed to come into midfield and give us back possession, hold on to the ball, recycle the ball, get us higher up the pitch quickly, win the ball high up the pitch and forward the play. And whenever he's played, he's done that. So in my perspective, it's harsh to say he's been a flop.
I hear that. Thank you very much, Igal. For those of you who don't know, that's Tom down there, right there in my screen, or that way, should I say.
There you go.
And if you want to read some fantastic Arsenal content, make sure you head to Tom's Twitter page, but I'll let him plug it in a second. But I hear what you're saying, Igal. I hear what you're saying, but there was a comment here from E3 Boss, I believe it was.
I look up to this guy.
He said he's had a few poor games to his standard. I can't lie. And then you've got King Cantona, who said he wouldn't call Partey a flop, but he's underperformed and has been injured. So yeah, I understand he's had some games where he's made an impact, but considering the hype that he came in or came in with, do you really think he's lived up to that standard, Tom?
I can't believe this is a conversation. I can't believe this is a conversation. Thomas Partey, a fit Thomas Partey is the best thing to happen to Arsenal in the last 10 years. No, there is no question about that. And if Thomas Partey is not injured for this period of time, I have no doubt in my mind and would be willing to put my house on Arsenal would not be in the position that they are now, because who we are talking about is one of the most transformative figures that this Arsenal side could have brought in is Thomas Partey. And if he's fit during this period, we compete in all those games that we weren't competing in. He is so key. And that's why this game at the weekend, I am so concerned about, because we don't have Partey in the midfield, because it's going to mean one of El Neni or who's the other guy? Ceballos playing next to Xhaka. So, yeah, I'm concerned. But I can't believe that anyone would even consider touting the fact that Thomas Partey is a flop. That is hilarious.
You know what? I thought so too. I thought it was laughable until more than one person asked me. And
is this you, Adam? Are you doing this?
Whoa. It's certainly not me. But in all fairness, it was a West Ham fan that first asked me the question. So I feel as though, they can be objective. They're not a rival or a direct rival of Arsenal. Some might say they actually are at the moment. But I just wonder, is it something we need to look at? Did people really have an idea of what Thomas Partey was going to bring to the team?
No.
Or was it just the fact that we got a player from Atletico Madrid and it was a reason for everyone to sing and dance? Wayne Sage has put in a super chat here. He says, people who've been calling Partey a flop just have no idea what they're talking about. He hasn't underperformed at all. He's only been injury prone. Kesh, what is your take on the Partey situation? But before I even ask you about that, Kesh, are you missing real life? Because I feel like every week I see a video of you like putting a throwback to simpler time. And one of those videos I saw was you just downing a bottle of vodka, bro. Is everything okay? Is everything all right?
No, man, everything's all right. But, when your snap memories pop up and all that, you just have to reminisce, innit?
Fair enough. Cool. Talk to me.
In terms of people saying Partey's a flop, I can see why they're saying it, but any football fan with a decent brain will know that it's way too soon to even say that. Like, you see the quality and the way he elevates his team when he's in there. Yes, the last 2 to 3 games he hasn't performed in terms of his distribution, but in terms of making the team solid, he has done that. Like, he's come into the team and we know what we're going to get from a Partey. I feel a lot of fans looked at him and thought he was going to be the catalyst to a revitalized Arsenal team the way Bruno Fernandes has done it, but they don't play that position. They're just not the same player. You know what I mean? Partey is just a part of the puzzle, and it's a part of the puzzle that's still in the process of being built. There's a lot of pieces still missing. We can't get too carried away. If you look at his ability and a few games where he has showed you what he's capable of, you can see what's there to come.
Okay. And so I think I look back to the Manchester United game and the most recent game that we played, Aston Villa. His passing was a little bit awry. And I don't personally think that I would have Partey down, or initially I didn't have Partey down as a breaker of lines or someone that would really beat the press with his passing and do all that type of stuff. But he surprised me since he came in. And by his standard, I think his passing in the last couple of games was a little bit shoddy. Why do you guys think that is? Because I think this is also the narrative that is starting to run, that he's not a good passer, and I don't think been hyped up.
I don't think a lot of Arsenal fans actually watched him play for Atletico Madrid, because it almost sounds like some of the things they say are just generic things about Thomas Partey. Like, they say, oh, he's similar to Conte. No, he's not. They say, oh, he can't dribble. Yes, he can. Like, they say, oh, he can't progress the ball quick enough. He's not technically as skilled. Have you watched him play? Like, I generally feel like a lot of fans they see a name, they're like, I want that player, but they don't actually know the technical qualities and skills that player possesses. So when you're calling Thomas Partey a flop, what did you first expect from him? And two, are you an Arsenal fan saying this, or is this rivals trying to throw salt at a player? Because it feels like it's more rivals throwing salt at a player than it does even an Arsenal fan objectively looking at this being like, could he be a flop? Because
he's for me, he's an all-round centre mid. I know when he was first being linked to the club, I saw a lot of people saying he's a DM. I'm thinking, no, like, you've clearly not watched the player. He's got a lot more to his game. You see the way he dribbles and maneuvers. He's capable of taking 2 to 3 players out of the game in one move and drive forward. That's what you're going to get from a Thomas Partey. I feel over the last few games, when you're looking at his distribution and things like that, I feel he's not quite fit. Like, if you look back to when he came back against Spurs, he wasn't fit there. We rushed him back. He's then come back again, and you can tell that because he's such an important part of the team, we've just adjusted him in and said, go on, get along with it. But he's not fit. And that's just down to the quality of the players that we got in our possession, that we're having to force players back. He's not fit.
Fair. I was reading, I'm a little bit late, but I started reading Arsene Wenger's autobiography this week. And in it, he said that he likes to give players 6 to 12 months to try and acclimatize to the league, acclimatize to stuff, to make sure that they know what they're doing, especially in a new country, because that's just what you do. It can take a long time to adjust. So I think there's an element of that at play here. I think Partey clearly has immense quality, and I have to thank you guys for reminding me of that, because I did forget. I'll admit I did forget. But yeah, no, I think it's a case of us just being patient and recognizing that Partey will come good, if you will. But there is an interesting debate going on in the chat. People are saying Partey wouldn't get into other top 6 teams, and I want to get your take on that. Tom, I can see you shaking your head. And Gal's shaking his head. Kesh is shaking his head. Tom, please, what do you think about that?
Unfortunately, I think you're a victim of people trying to get a rise from you, to be honest, because any level-headed football fan knows that Partey gets into... He's the only player that we have that does. Like, I'll be that honest. And maybe Tierney, of course. But yeah, Partey is the only player that we've got that does get into the other top 6 sides in the league. You look at the midfields that are around at the moment. Is he better than Gundogan? And I'm not talking about on current form, but is he better than Gundogan? Yes, he is. Is he better than what Liverpool have got? Is he better than Jordan Henderson? Are you having a laugh? Of course he is. I know Jordan Henderson is very important for Liverpool, but do me a favour. Is he getting in over Fred or McTominay? Or, I mean, Pogba was an interesting comparison. Someone in the chat saying he's like Pogba. He's not like Pogba. They're different players. But he gets in next to Pogba, and those two together would be a really interesting duo had it have happened. And then you got Leicester, and you're talking about Ndidi, and you're talking about Mendy, and you're talking about these players playing in the middle of the midfield. Tielemans, of course, he gets into Leicester's midfield. I mean, credit to Leicester, the fact we're talking about them in the same conversation now. Fair play to them for how they've developed and recruited exceptionally well. But yeah, I think this is just a hilarious discussion. Obviously, we've got to talk about it. People are asking about it, but I can't get my head around why we would question the ability of Partey off the fact he's barely been able to play because of his fitness.
It's probably a case of it's just Arsenal. It's the Arsenal stench. People would love to hate Arsenal, and I think because Partey plays for Arsenal, they clearly don't rate him as much as they would if he was playing for another team. Am I right?
I think he's one of the top midfielders in the league, and people, just because he's playing for a team that's underperforming, don't take away from the ability of one player. Right now, we all know Jack Grealish is a great player. Just because his team last year were fighting for relegation, does that mean Jack Grealish is not a good player? No. So why are people quick to throw salt at a player just based on the team's performance? Like, there's probably players all throughout the teams that are in the relegation form. Last year, we know that Norwich have some quality players. A lot of people would take Buendia. A lot of people would take Max Aarons. Just because they're in the championship doesn't mean they're bad players. So sometimes The team is some of its parts, and people need to take that into
I'll
consideration.
tell you what, yeah. If Arsenal was to, in an imaginary world, he was able to get Pogba, I guarantee you the Man United fans will start saying Pogba's not good enough anymore. That's just what it is. It's because it's Arsenal. It's because it's Arsenal. Like, there's always going to be that Arsenal tax that gets applied, and people just going to start throwing banter and slander. And literally, it's just to get a reaction out of us. That's all it is for me.
Fair.
Go
on. Sam, did you want to jump in?
No, one thing I'll just say about Thomas Partey, I want to add one more thing. You know, he's the least of our concerns, him being a flop. Because there's way more bigger issues at the club than Thomas Partey being a flop. Even if he was a flop and he was just playing at 25%, he's still better than Ceballos at 100%. Still better than Elneny at 1,000%. Okay, so this is the least of our concerns as Arsenal fans.
Yeah, Adam, I know you got a show to do, but before we move on to that topic, I want these people to hit those likes. If they get us to at least 200 likes, then we'll move on to Saliba topic. For now, let's stay away from that for now until they get that 200 likes, man.
Yeah, the Saliba topic is a funny one, but we can touch on it briefly at the end because it's just anyway. Arsenal versus Leeds. Tom, you've already touched on the fact that Partey isn't going to be available. Kieran Tierney is out as well. It's going to be a tough game. Leeds, I have to say, they've surprised me. I didn't think they were going to be as consistent. Consistent's the wrong word. I didn't think they were going to be as high in the table as they are currently. And there is a part of me that does believe that they'll fall off. But in terms of a team that Arsenal shouldn't play right now, Leeds would probably be it, because I think the high pressing and the tempo, the man-for-man system is going to be something that it will scare our players. I don't think Arsenal's confidence is at its peak right now, and I think that Bielsa will know that. But what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Arsenal have a chance at all, Sam?
We do, because you know why? Apparently, according to everyone, we play pragmatic football, and Leeds are a team that like to attack and attack. So, I mean, the way we play is suited to beat Leeds, because I think someone else said it the other day, is that they play like Wenger back in the old days, where they just attack, make a change, don't make a defensive substitution, they bring on another winger or another attacker. So I think, you know what, we've got more of a chance of being Leeds than we've got of being Aston Villa and Wolves.
Okay, that makes sense. Kesh, what's your prediction? What do you think is going to happen?
Listen, I'm very worried about this game because the last time we played Leeds, I think it was a Xhaka and Ceballos double pivot. Listen, I don't ever want to see that in this Arsenal team, because one, you got someone who already struggles in the midfield when it comes to their mobility and tracking back, and then you got a Dani Ceballos who's completely unaware of tracking his runs. And with Leeds, they flood men through the midfield. If we're not picking up these runners, they will cause trouble. For me, I understand what Samuel's saying. They play very attacking football and are pragmatic football, sitting back and soak up the pressure and attacking should work in our favour. The only problem is when you've got a Lacazette, and don't get me wrong, yes, he's been good over the last few weeks or so, but he doesn't strike fear in the defenders. And I feel we might have to try something different in this game. And I wouldn't be against seeing a Martinelli playing through the middle for me.
Really? Wow. Okay. So just for the sake of being unpredictable and different, that's why you'd want to see Martinelli start.
Yep, precisely why. Because we need someone who can mix it around. I understand, yes, his old up play is important in the way we want to play, but in terms of actually putting the defense on the back foot, we don't see that in games when we play.
Interesting. Okay. Tom, what about you? Would you start Martinelli? Are you going to play Cedric, your favorite ever player, at left back? Is that something you can see happening in the upcoming game?
I don't think we've got much of a choice, to be honest. I think that ultimately we've loaned out Kolasinac, we've loaned out Maitland-Niles, which are the only other two players you could really see. The only other argument that there is to put Saka at left back, which then obviously we lose one of our best attacking players by doing that. So
What about Chambers?
It's Chambers at left back. I think that's arguably suicidal, man.
Chambers did play at left back.
No.
He's injured for a year.
Cedric's a lot more mobile. Like, if you are going to play anyone at left back who's unorthodox, it's got to be someone that's going to be quick on the turn, agile, and is going to be able to move. Chambers, I get the point. He's played at full back, and if you would have said right back, again, I would have been with you. He could play at right back, and he has done at Southampton, but even then, he's still an issue, especially up against the pace that they've got in their forward line with Rodrigo and Rafinha just kind of flanking Bamford at the moment. So it's going to be really difficult if you are going to do that. I see the point. Arguably, if you wanted to go to a back three, which is still an option for Arsenal, but that's when you can put your Saka on the left wing back position, move Cedric maybe into a different area if you're going to play him at all, and you can put Chambers as kind of the right-sided centre-back, because usually when we had the back three, we'd put Tierney at left centre-back. But Chambers being a little bit more mobile, you could try him on the right centre-back position of a back three. But I still think Arteta's going to want to be pragmatic in this game. He's going to want to go for the back four. It's going to be Cedric and Bellerin, which is frustrating. And also, I think Bellerin's been a bit of a stick that Arteta's been beat with recently, and I genuinely believe had Tierney been fit, you'd see Cedric starting over Bellerin. More than we have done, but he's not been able to do that because of the fitness of Tierney. But Leeds are a good team. I get the point of what Sam was saying earlier about how they are a team that are open, that you can hit them on the counter, but they are so lethal in their front line that we need to be really careful about that. Arguably, it's the worst game we could have been without Tierney and Partey. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, just before I come to you, Gal, this is Super Chat here. Wayne Sage, thank you very much. He says he disagrees. Leeds is similar to Wolves, and we really had complete control of that game till the red card. Leeds is absolute trash defensively. I think I can understand the sentiment. I wouldn't say they're trash. I'd say they're naive. I think they are wedded to a particular playing style, which causes them to be exposed by better teams. But I don't know if Arsenal have that ruthless streak in them currently to try and punish that naivety. Otherwise, I think that would have happened in the previous game. Was it you?
I disagree with that comment, because whenever I watch Leeds, as good as the midfielders they got in Ruben Neves and Moutinho, they don't try to control and dictate games. You will see the Leeds midfield trying to create patterns of play and moving off the ball. You don't get that from Leeds, and they play a totally different formation compared to what Leeds do. They don't attack from the middle. The Wolves only attack from the width. So you'll get a mixture of different things in this Leeds game. And as I said before, you're going to see midfield runners. And that's where we tend to struggle. With a Partey in there, you've got a bit more of a fight in midfield. You've got a bit more tactical nose where he's going to track the runners. But if we have to play with a Xhaka and Ceballos, I'm telling you, we will get overrun.
Yeah, I'm just getting visions of Xhaka constantly being in transition, going back, constantly running backwards. And I think I once heard Claude say that he turns slower than off milk or something like that. Which, yeah, I do worry. Because there will be runners from midfield. You're absolutely right, Kesh. And I do believe that Leeds have some potency that Arsenal will struggle to deal with. Igal, though, I'm going to come to you because am I right in thinking that you think Arsenal are going to win the game 6-0?
No, that's ridiculous. I'm not that positive. Now, I want to talk about Leeds. One thing we used to do when we had Emery in charge that we didn't like, we used to look at our opponent so much and focus on our opponent more than focusing on what we can do ourselves. So I'm going to take away the Emery thought of things and go back to Wenger's thinking. Let's think about fixing our house first before we think about our opponent. What do we need to do to go into this game to improve ourselves, right? What can we do to add some, as Kesh said, some unpredictability in our game? What personnel do we have available? So Aubameyang is going to be back. Do you see Aubameyang coming back in the team? Personally, I would put Aubameyang in the team and I'll put him on the left. Right? I would make sure Pepe continues to play, right? But I'll try rotating him from the with Aubameyang. If Arteta sees him playing on the right, you have Pepe playing on the right. Sometimes switching throughout the game, being a little bit unpredictable in that way, right? And if you're going to play Lacazette up top, which I feel like is our only option as striker that can link up the play, that's when you can now play Saka as a left wing back if we're going to play with a back three. But ideally, the main thing that I would do is the only different thing that I would do, since we know the midfield is going to be weak, we go back to a back three. We play a little bit more pragmatic. It gives us more solidity in our midfield now that we have the help from the two wing backs. And I just think that's a solution. When you don't have Thomas Partey, we have to do something else. And I think resorting back to our old formation gives us more solidity in both ends of the pitch.
I disagree. I generally disagree. I think you can't just shift from playing absolutely horrendous in a back three to then starting to gain a bit of form, going on a bit of run with a back four, and then decide because you're playing Leeds, you're going to switch it like that. When the players are now finding it a bit more comfortable playing in the system now, you've got to stick with it. What I would say though,
go on, Kesh. Sorry.
What I would say though is I do feel this is a game where you should put a Odegaard in and give Smith for a rest, just in order to keep the ball. Like I remember on the Prime Wenger, like keeping the ball was never a problem, and the more you keep the ball, the less your opposition can hurt you. So if we can keep the ball, keep it moving, dictating the play and everything, I feel we'll have a better control over this game. And it's all about controlling this game. Whoever's got the most control of this game will come out on the better side.
Yeah.
I gotta say as well, when Leeds have gone to see the Big Six grounds, they've gotten smacked. You know, they've went to Tottenham, they lost 3-0. They conceded 4 against Liverpool and all those games. So they are very leaky at the back. I think Robin, I don't want to mispronounce his name because is it Robin Koch?
Oh, yes.
Koch. I did.
Bro, it's like, you know, you didn't need to do that, you know.
You made it worse for yourself, Sam.
It's fine. You made it a thing, but it's okay. Carry on. Robin Koch.
Yeah.
Clear your throat, mate. Clear your throat, son.
Robin, whatever his name is. Yeah, like someone said, United 6-2 leads as well. I mean, he's a little bit of a dodgy.
I think he's injured anyway.
Yeah,
Koch is injured anyway.
Out.
Yeah.
Sorry, what did you say there, Adam? Do you want to say that again?
I said Koch is out. That's what I said.
We'll put it away then.
guys. Why is it so ridiculous? Why is it so ridiculous to change the formation based on the fact that we've been playing so well with Emil Smith Rowe in the 10? I get that, but do you not see my point? Because I
see your point, Igal. I think the issue with that is that the only reason to change formation would be because of personnel. That's the only reason we'd have, is if there was literally no other choice. But tactically, it doesn't make too much sense. I didn't agree with the Aubameyang on the left because, to be honest, over the last 3 games, I've seen a different Pepe than I've seen in any other time at Arsenal Football Club. And Pepe on the left-hand side is so much more unpredictable for opponents than he is on the right-hand side. As soon as he goes onto the right, you know what he's going to do. He's going to go to the touchline, he's going to cut inside, and he's going to get tackled. That's what happens every single time. On the left-hand side, you got the opportunity for him to still cut inside, and he's shown against both against Wolves with the goal in the first half. He's shown against the game in the Europa League with Dundalk. He can smack a ball with his right foot, absolutely no problem. And he can also cut to the byline and cut back for if you want to put Aubameyang there, if you want to put Martinelli, Lacazette, whoever. He can cut the ball back, no problem. And that's kind of the issue against the Aston Villa game, is that Arteta made the mistake of bringing on Willian, which meant we were forced to put Pepe back onto the right-hand side, and he became predictable again. When we had Saka and Pepe overloading the left-hand flank, and we were getting a lot of good balls into the box, which really kind of helped us to try and break them down. It really kind of stuttered our play. So I wouldn't change the formation unless it was literally the last resort that we had, purely because of missing personnel, which I still think we've got enough to push forward.
So Aubameyang doesn't get shoehorned into this team until for any reason at all at this point.
No, of course not. He's not in form. He shouldn't play.
You know what? Do you know what? I'm so happy. Igal, you should be doing this job. I'm so happy that you've brought that up, because, again, this is something I've been discussing in the last couple of weeks. Do we think Aubameyang has a place in this team? Forget the contract for a second. With Pepe playing on the left, as Tom just said, I think he's been fantastic. And it's the Pepe that we've all been waiting to see for a year and a half. Aubameyang is our captain. Aubameyang just signed a new contract. Do we have to play him, or is it a case of you earn your right?
You earn your right. You've got to earn your right. Listen, for me, Aubameyang is a player that needs to reinvent himself. He's lost his pace, which is something that was very lethal when playing against teams. Now he's a player that, when you're playing through the middle, he's not really got the hold up play, so it doesn't necessarily fit into what Mikel Arteta wants to do. That's something he's going to have to work on. And I don't know if it's something that's achievable, being the age that he is. For me, moving on, I can only picture Aubameyang as a super sub coming on late in games. I'm just being genuinely honest. We've put ourselves in a very sticky situation, but in terms of the way Arteta wants to play and the pressing that I've seen when, I think it was against Chelsea, when Martinelli's telling them press, like, you know what I mean? Like, he actually lets the press down quite a lot.
Okay.
The question is,
I'm not shaking my head at you, Cash. I'm reading some of the comments.
the question is, do we play? I hear you guys. If we're gonna play players on merit, and I'm gonna ask for players to be playing on merit, we can't be hypocrites and then say Aubameyang walks straight back into his team. But as an investment of the club, can you see them putting him on the bench for the or does that make sense?
He did. He has done.
We already done it. He's already on the bench. He's not playing. You know what?
No, but he was on the bench because he just came back from his family situation.
He's on the bench twice, wasn't he? 2 games in a row he's been on the bench now.
Yeah. But honestly, if he comes off the bench this week and he does something, maybe he has a chance. But as of right now, listen, I wouldn't swap him with Lacazette in the team right now, because Lacazette can nick up the ball with Smith Rowe, with Saka, with Pepe. You can't drop Pepe in his current form, because it's the best form he's been in, since he's been at the club. So we have to keep him on left, play him against Luke Ayling. I'm looking forward to that this weekend.
I think with Aubameyang, there is an argument to play him. The argument is that if you've got Pepe on the left and you've got Saka on the right, you have enough creativity with those two to create the type of chances that Aubameyang feeds off, which is whether you get the cutbacks into the box. And if you play an Odegaard or an Emile Smith Rowe behind, you've got the guy creating. Aubameyang succeeded so well last year because we played with the 3-4-3 and he had Tierney on the left-hand side and usually Xhaka on the left-hand side centre midfield position to then play those balls in behind for him, which was so successful against Chelsea in the final where he won the penalty. He got the ball over the top from Tierney in the semi-final, which he put beyond Ederson. So they're the types of balls he feeds off really well. Now, against Aston Villa, him coming on made no real sense because we were utterly in control of the game in the second half, really trying to make those chances. And Aubameyang in the box, isolated, is never going to work. Against Leeds, though, it's slightly different. They're not going to set up the same as Aston Villa did. Even if they go 1-0 up, they're still going to try and attack us because that's their way they play. So Aubameyang is tactically an okay choice to use in this game to play off the shoulder of the last few defenders. But based on form and the way that Arteta likes to play, Lacazette is probably still the more intelligent choice overall.
I like that. So what do you do then?
Why can't you build a team around him? Listen, why can't we have a situation right now where Lacazette his contract's running down? We're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do with his contract. We already have Aubameyang to a long contract. We have young up and coming players that can fit into those slots in the long term. Why not build our team around Aubameyang like Leicester did Jamie Vardy? He can do that job. He can still score goals at will. The only thing is, he's been underperforming this season. Who knows if he's going to be underperforming the remainder of the season? But there's going to be coming a time where we're going to have to decide what we're going to do with Lacazette. We've already decided what we're going to do with Aubameyang, so you might as well continue that investment with your tactics. I know it's tough.
Ultimately, what you're saying is that you look at the management of Jamie Vardy by Brendan Rodgers, and you can't see why Arsenal can't manage Aubameyang in a similar way. Is that what you're saying, Igal?
Basically, why can't you build a team around him as the main goal-scoring threat?
It's too late now.
Too late for that, man.
Listen, you lack of
too late for that.
It's too late
He's
for that.
2 years younger than Jamie Vardy. Are you talking about age, or are you talking about
not even age. Jamie Vardy, since his time at Leicester, has been their main striker. You know what I mean? Like, since they've been on their successful journey, he's been their main striker. Aubameyang, since he's been at Arsenal, he's played majority of his games off the left. So now you're going to ask Aubameyang to come into the striker. And I've asked for it as well, but it clearly doesn't work with him being the main focal point because he hasn't got the hold-up play. He's not going to bring people in the game. I know we compare him and Vardy because They're both fast. They're both natural goal scorers. But Vardy has got a bit of all that play in his game that Aubameyang doesn't. And I'm at the age that Aubameyang is at now. It's very hard to then suddenly say we're going to implement that in your game. I don't think he'd be capable of doing it.
But he does have work rate. I hear people saying he doesn't have work rate.
He's got
I'm
work
hearing
rate,
people.
but
No, I'm not talking
He's a
about you
finisher.
specifically,
That's
Kesh.
what
I'm
he
not
is.
talking about you specifically. I'm talking about a lot of fans say Aubameyang doesn't work hard enough to be a striker, and he doesn't have the link-up play. I hear that. One thing he does have, he does press from the front. He does help the press. I know he doesn't press consistently, but even Lacazette, he fake presses. You guys see these guys, what they do. They'll walk towards a player, the player passes the ball, they put their hands up and then give up.
We're forgetting about this game as well. Martin Odegaard. I completely forgot about him for this game. Would you tell me with Smith Rowe? Because Smith Rowe has been burnt out in the past couple of games.
yeah, I think Smith Rowe deserves. He needs to get a rest. You can tell that he's not played at this level, so his body ain't used to it. And as a young kid, you know you're going to get inconsistency that will come into your game. We need to start him from the bench, give Odegaard a chance to start blending in with the squad and everything, and see how it goes from there. But back to the Aubameyang thing, I know you're saying he presses from the front and everything, but he's very sometime-ish in when he does it. And with the way we play, you can't afford to do that, because if you then start to press and he doesn't do it properly or whatever, that's how the team then break through the lines.
Hear it.
Yeah, so who's everyone's front three for the remainder? As of right now, are you keeping it the same? Are you keeping it Saka, Tom, everybody else? You guys keeping it the same? Saka, Lacazette, and Pepe.
Other than Emil Smith throw out Odegaard in, that's the only change I'm making to the front line.
Okay, people in the chat, same thing. Tell us.
Fair enough. 8-5-6-3, Robbie. Bamford is better than Aubameyang. Just look at the numbers. I don't like stuff like this. And the reason I don't like stuff like this is because it's just reactionary, and I think stats are killing people and causing ridiculous opinions such as this one. And Bamford has surprised me too, sir. But to say that he's better than Aubameyang, who is a seasoned striker, I think is just ridiculous. But yeah, I do think that Aubameyang is a bit problematic, and I don't know how, on the tail end of the Özil situation, or just coming out of that, we seem to have put ourselves in a bit of a tricky situation with Aubameyang too, because I don't know if his performances are going to improve or get better as he increases in age. Who knows? But we shall see. Final part.
Can I say one more thing about it? Can I say one more thing about Leeds before we go? I think if Leeds don't reinvest in their squad heavily next summer, they might have a situation like Sheffield United and even Wolves, where if come into a couple of injuries, they could be down at the bottom of the table next season. So this Leeds team that we're touting so highly, next season, when people are more used to how they play and everything, if they do get any injuries, they'll be right there at the bottom of the table. So let's not overhype these teams that just get promoted.
Yeah,
I think the difference between Leeds is they've got a owner who's very invested in carrying them over that line and being a Premier League team that's settled. Like, you will see a improvement in Leeds come next season.
I don't see them investing the type of money that Aston Villa have invested, and I don't think they have the base of a squad.
But why not though? No one pictured Aston Villa doing it, so why can't Leeds do it?
Maybe not, but
Aston Villa spent money coming up.
No, so maybe it won't happen. Anyway, Igal, let me ask you about the William Saliba situation. First of all, he made some more comments about his place in the Arsenal team and his time or the way Arteta and Arsenal treated him. And then we found a video of him watching some crazy stuff. But I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about his place in the Arsenal team and whether you think he has a place or a part to play in the Arsenal team going forward. Do you think he not necessarily should be recalled, but do you think when he comes back he should have a place?
Listen, first things first, when it comes down to it, these kind of things happen and people have things that come up in their if things that come up in their career that are bad for their PR and the club and their reputation a little bit, in the sense of you just shouldn't have stuff like that in public eyes, right? It could be anything. It could be, there's been so many different stories. So let's move past that. When it comes to Saliba himself, he needs to focus on building his relationship with the manager and building his relationship with the backroom staff and everybody at Arsenal. Because if it's true that he's talking trash about the manager after leaving the club on loan, and he's making jokes on social media with Guendouzi, and they're making jokes about him being free, and his friend from Leicester, Fofana, making tweets and messages about my boy's free, stuff like that. It's not a good look on him. And if Arteta's still the manager, I don't know if Arteta has the type of guy. He's the type of guy to have so much pride that he won't let this person back into his team. So we need to monitor the situation. And as of right now, I think it might be a situation where, as long as Arteta's manager, and if he has a personal issue with Saliba won't play.
Tom, I want to come to you next. Thank you, Gal, because we've spoken about this on your channel. What do you think? I didn't actually get your take on it last time, because obviously you were hosting. So what do you reckon? Do you think Saliba should be doing this? Do you think that it's unprofessional from him, and do you think that he deserves the place in Arsenal's team going forward?
Let's break it down. I think there's two schools of thought to the interviews. One is that they have been taken out of context. That has happened. There's things that have been lost in translation. So I think that in terms of like what's actually been quoted in the media, and I'll hold my hands up as a writer myself, I'm guilty of it. I've reported on the quotes that have came out. I've taken them from the sources that have tweeted them out, and those sources have unfortunately tweeted them out without the context, and that's then passed on. It's just the way the media works sometimes. Later on, you can reflect and look. I'm still of the mind that there is too much talk going on. 4 interviews in a month is odd. Like it's a bit frequent. And if he is asked about his frustrations at Arsenal, there comes a point where you just have to, as a professional, really go, look, I'm at Nice now. I want to focus on my time at Nice, and I'm going to get my head down and push on and do what I can. That's how I feel he should be responding to the questions. If it was like one-off time that he was talking about his time at the club, we're like, yeah, like sure, have your frustrations, have your moment. But 4 times down the line, it does become a little bit too much. In terms of his place in the team, I got really frustrated at the start of the season because I think that there is a thing called the new toy syndrome amongst Arsenal fans, is that as soon as there's like this new element in the team, someone new comes in, immediately we want to see them play. You get it with the youngsters as well, like Aziz, who's still, 12. So people want to see him in the team now, even though he's barely played any minutes of senior football. It's a new toy syndrome. Arsenal fans have got it. We want quick success. We want to see something new, because what we're seeing right now is not so great, when actually ultimately you could do more damage than good by throwing these kids in. We saw Saliba in the youth teams playing, and it was tricky for him at times. Now, there is context to it. He is a £28 million player playing in the under-23s. He's going to want to try and show off a bit. He's got to be the guy that has the emphasis about his game. And so he's going to want to try and do things that other players aren't going to do, which is tricky as well for a centre-back. He didn't have the greatest of performances. He got sent off twice, and arguably could have been sent off a 3rd time against Gillingham in the Papa John's Trophy, which is hilariously named. But when you look at what he could have offered, and you look at what the position he would have played, which is right centre-back, which is Rob Holding's position right now, at this moment in time, he doesn't get in over Rob Holding. Rob Holding, for me, has been a consistent performer this season, has had 2 poor games, ironically, both against Aston Villa. And to say that he should get in over Rob Holding right now, I just find it hilariously rash. In the seasons to come, yes, Rob Holding should not be Arsenal's right starting centre-back into the future. He's great for a squad player, great for rotation, but Saliba, the vision should be for him to take over that role. But right now, it's too soon. And I think a lot of people are trying to put too much pressure on this kid when he needs game time in the level that he's at right now, which is in Liga.
And just before I move on, sorry, do you think that Arteta needs to punish him? Or, in fact, a better question, I guess, would be, how would you handle this if you were Arteta?
Should he be punished for what he's done? He's already had an element of it. We reported on 101 about the fact that during the French Cup final, the fact he wasn't played in that final, he reacted pretty badly. The club didn't take too well to how he acted during that period, and is part of the reason why he didn't get the opportunities earlier on to show what he's about. Should he be punished for doing these interviews? I mean, if these interviews continue for the rest of the season and he's not talking, then maybe you got to think. I think ultimately the club has to take some level of responsibility for not reaching out to this kid and going, look, mate, you need to just kind of get your head down now. There's a little bit too much talking. The club's got a responsibility to look after a 19-year-old kid that's gone through a hell of a lot of stuff. His parents, we know there's issues that went on there at the end of the season. I'm not going to speculate on what happened because it's not categorically been reported what happened, but we can assume something dreadful has happened to this kid during that period, and you've got to give him slack for that. And I also think that the club has a responsibility to look after someone of his age, his inexperience, who's come to a new country, he doesn't really speak the language. There is a lot around this kid that you have to protect him. And I do think the club hasn't done everything that they could in order to do that, to be honest. So, no, I don't think you punish him for doing this. I think you just have a mature word and say, look, if you want a future at Arsenal, you have to get your head down, you have to crack on with things and play professionally.
Fair. Just to clarify, before I come to, I'm so sorry. I'm not talking about him getting punished for the video, by the way, because
no,
that would be weird. We're just talking about him being punished for the
Oh my God, no.
professionalism. No one's saying he should be punished for the video. Yeah. Anyway, Igal, take it away. Go.
I think the whole Saliba thing was a stick for people to beat Arteta with, because they see David Luiz underperforming. They see Rob Holding be part of that team that conceded 3 goals against Aston Villa at home, and it was an easy stick to beat Arteta with. Oh, why wasn't he in the team? Even though we know that there was emanating circumstances in which why he wasn't put in the Europa League team. We thought he was going to go out on loan. In addition to everything else, Tom, you said it yourself, but I would say this: if I were to ask all you guys, where was William Saliba in your pecking order at the beginning of the season, I don't think any of you guys would have said he's your first team, your first choice, or your second choice, or maybe even your third choice, because I think we would all have Gabriel, Holding, and David Luiz ahead of him.
Murray as well.
I didn't even have Louise. I had it as Odin, Gabriel, Mari, Saliba, then Louise.
Yeah, and I had Murray, Gabriel, Chambers, and Holding.
Okay, so that's my point. Everyone who's screaming for Saliba, majority of the fan base doesn't even have him as their third choice center back. So why are we screaming for this guy who we haven't even seen play? And also, if the club is protecting him, there's a reason why they're protecting him. And I would rather trust the club to in this situation. And even if the player ends up getting sold, he's at an age in which we bought him for a certain amount of money. I don't think that value is going to depreciate, no matter what. Just saying.
Fair. Kesh, talk to me.
You know what bugs me, and this is winding me up for numerous of years now. We don't have leaders. We don't have those guys that are there to be life coaches for younger players. I feel like, yes, he's a young player. Yes, he's not really doing the things that I would like to see when he's speaking to the media, which is just to just end it and just be like, I'm at, as Tom said, I'm at Nice now. Like, I don't need to talk about it anymore. We'll get back to Arsenal at the end of the season. And you'd like to have a captain or someone like Vieira or someone like Henry who gets on the phone to him and said, listen, lad, like, I understand you're frustrated. I understand things haven't gone the way you wanted it to work out, but your future is still here. Just get your head down, perform, show the manager what you're capable of, and come back next season ready. And it's not just a Saliba problem, it's an Arsenal problem. That's the way I see it.
Fair. I completely understand. Kesh, Sam, sorry, finally. We've got another super chat from Wayne Sage. He says, so you're saying he couldn't play in the Carabao Cup or the early rounds of Europa, but we had 5 goalkeepers registered. I don't know if that's hyperbole or it must be. We definitely do. We even have 5 goalkeepers. Anyway, Sam, what's your take on the super chat and the whole William Saliba situation?
Nah, you know what? I think the original thing was for him to sell him in, not pay him straight away, because he's 18 years of age. You can't be throwing him into the spotlight at Arsenal, because that'll be the wrong thing to do. He's a centre back. Centre backs are more mistake prone than, say, a striker like Martinelli or Saka. So there's added pressure to that. All in all, I think the loan was the best move for him. What's going on with his life personally, I think he should have stayed in France for the whole season. He should have gone in the summer if we were going to keep him like this. But you know what? Nice is a great place to go. I heard him and I was at Toledo at the back.
Todibo.
Todibo at the back from Barcelona. They've been working up a good partnership. All in all, I think he will be back, but I think his attitude will change because he's immature because he's a young age. But as he gets older, I think he'll mature and he'll be a starting centre back for us.
Fair.
One second, Adam.
Go on.
Yeah, like what I would say is like I know people speak about. Yeah, so I know people speak about Fofana being at Leicester and playing, but the magnifying glass at Arsenal is totally different. You know what I mean? Like he's in the limelight. Any mistake that he does at Arsenal is going to be up in the in the views. Like the whole football scenery in the UK is going to see it and make slanders about it. You know what I mean? It's not the same being at Leicester.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm distracted by what's going on in the background.
Yeah, I was trying to listen as well.
There's some domestic going on, man.
It's all right. It's all right.
That's my little brother.
All right, just quickly, guys. Who do we think is thumbs up for Arsenal win, thumb down for Arsenal loss against Leeds? What do we think is going to happen?
Put the score line too.
A draw. So we've got a thumb up from Tom, thumb up from Sam, thumb up from Igal.
Yeah, 100%, obviously.
3 thumbs up from Igal. And Kesh, you're awfully quiet. What's happened? Thumb up? Arsenal win?
I'm really not sure. I'm genuinely not sure. I'm going to go for a draw.
Oh,
It's not even certain offense.
Man, come on.
I'm just going for a draw. Like, I think we're really underestimating the Leeds team and overestimating the Arsenal team.
Okay, fair. What bloody hell? Wayne is back again.
Can I address the super chat? The super chat's talking about what happened with.
Iliev
Tom,
was online.
you might know this also. Am I not mistaken? Didn't we have a situation at the beginning of the season where we had too many players registered? We had to let Ozil out of the team, and we had to have Socrates out of the team, and we kept Saliba out of the team because we had hopes to get rid of him not get rid of him, but to loan him out to a championship club after the.
You put that back up, Adam. You put that back up.
Yeah, sure.
It's Iliev was on loan, so I don't know why that would be the case. Then who? I mean, I don't really understand the others because homegrown players don't have to be registered anyway, like under a certain age.
It was in the B list.
It doesn't work that way. So I think you need to check your facts, Wayne. Is what I'd say.
But he was registered.
Thank you for
Joe Willock is registered right now. Also, Joe Willock is registered right now. Also, we're doing that just so we can have them in case we keep them for the long run. They're homegrown talents, right?
What do you mean, Joe Willock's registered?
Joe Willock is registered for the Europa League squad, even though he's not in our team.
He doesn't have to be registered for the Europa League squad.
He's not registered.
He's on the B list, right? He would have been on the B list, but he left on deadline day. So
he's still on the list. I don't know.
It's different. It's different.
It's different. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. This has been the Arsenal show. Can't wait to see Arsenal beat Leeds 4-0. You know it's going to happen. And we'll be back to discuss and see what happens. Thank you very much. We'll be back another day. Peace.